Good morning. I am going to answer a lot of questions that I get all the time from people that are first-time home buyers or people that have not purchased a home in a while. So questions I'm answering today are: how much is a down payment? How much can I expect to spend throughout a real estate transaction? And I'm going to go through some very generic costs, mostly to be nicer to me, and do simple math. So I'm going to start off with a home at a purchase price of $250,000. Now I will say, if I do not answer your question specifically, feel free to leave me a comment, send me a DM, and I will be happy to answer that for you. So for the purposes of mostly simple math, I'm going to start off with a house costing $250,000. Now, I'm going to start with the down payment question. You do not need to put 20% down. That is something that is more of a myth, and it really, I can't tell you an exact number. Again, these are going to be very generic costs, but typically a down payment is anywhere from 3 to 10% of the purchase price. So it really depends on a number of things. When a lender pulls your credit, your payment history, your debt to income ratio, all of those things play a factor in what your down payment is going to be. So let's just go ahead and say you have excellent credit and you're on time with your payments, you don't have a lot of debt racked up, student loans, and you have an awesome just credit score in general. So we're going to say that your down payment will be 3%. So 3% of $250,000 is $7,500. Okay, I'm going to break all of this down as we go through this as well. Now, one thing that you will have to put down is called earnest money. This is your deposit. It's also called like your skin in the game deposit. Typically in my marketplace, it's 1% of the purchase price. So that would be $2,500. Okay. Another part of the transaction is called an option period. I call this a cold feet period. I like to have the maximum number of days that I possibly can for my clients. Another cost is inspections. Now, your inspections are not a part of your closing costs. These are out-of-pocket costs. So your inspection will be something that is outside of your down payment, outside of closing costs. This is going to come up pretty much as soon as you get under contract. So you want to have an inspection done within that option period that I just said was that 10-day window that I call your cold feet period. This is the time where you discover everything about the house that you possibly can. This is your time that you can go back and show family and friends as well. That's typically what I tell my clients. Now, an inspection cost really depends on the square footage of the home. So an average square foot of a home, typically your inspection will cost about $475. Again, that is an out-of-pocket cost. Now, there are inspection items that I'll talk about quickly that will be out of pocket as well, and they're completely up to you if you want to have them done. So I live in Texas, and I do in fact ask my sellers, and buyers, if they want to have a wood destroying insect inspection. We do have wood destroying ants, we have carpenter ants out here, so I think it's something that is vital to know about, especially if you live out in the country. Just to know if you have those kind of ants. That typically is going to be about $80 to $90 to have that inspection done, and that will be done. Typically an inspector will be able to do a wood destroying insect inspection as well. So while he's there, he'll be able to knock that one out. Other two inspection items that are completely up to the buyer if they want to do are a water well testing, and that is typically done along with a septic testing, where if you live out in the country and you have your own water well and septic system and you just want to make sure that everything is performing correctly. Now typically what we will ask for, and this is totally getting off of a gravy train, But if you're wondering about septic systems, they do need to be pumped every 10 years. And so that is usually a line item that we ask for to be taken care of on the seller end. Okay, so going back around to our costs. Now, this is a weird one, appraisals. So some lenders will have you pay for appraisals out of pocket, and some will have them be a part of your closing costs. That's a question that when you are interviewing lenders, ask them, do you expect me to pay for my appraisal up front, or is that going to be considered a closing cost? If it is up front, you will have to pay for the appraisal. Typically that's about $500. Now if that's part of closing costs, then all you have to do is subtract the closing costs that we're talking about here at the very end. When we get to the end, I'll let you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about closing costs in general and how that's typically broken down. So again, I'm in Texas. I'm using very generic numbers here. This is not every single transaction. And every transaction could be more, could be less, and it really just depends on you as the buyer, what your profile looks like, and what the seller can do for you as well. And I'll talk about seller concessions here in a little bit. Okay, so closing costs, I say are typically anywhere from 3 to about 7% in total of what the purchase price is on the home. So for today's purposes of using a home at $250,000, we're gonna say that our title fees are about 1%. So that's $2,500. We're gonna say since you had excellent credit that your down payment is 3% at $7,500. And we're gonna say that your lender fees are 2%, and that's gonna be $5,000. So if we add all of that up together, that's $15,000. So we're gonna talk about what cash to close is. Cash to close is that magic number that your lender will give you when you're at the very end of your transaction. And that's gonna be what you as the buyer bring to the closing table to purchase your home. So when we're going through all of these costs in the very beginning, some of those costs are actually gonna be credits to you towards the end. So let's say our number is $15,000 to buy this home. Well, remember when we talked about earnest money? That is a credit to you. So that 1%, your skin in the game earnest money deposit gets subtracted from the $15,000. So that leaves us with $12,500 cash to close. Are you keeping up with me? Okay. Now, another credit to you is your option period money. So that's your 10-day cold feet period where you do all of your inspections, measurements, all that fun stuff. That $100 is also a credit to you. So now we're sitting at $12,400 cash to close, okay? Now quickly, I'm going to talk about seller concessions and what that is. So a seller concession means that the seller is able to give you, the buyer, money as a credit to apply towards your closing costs. Now, how do I get these credits? So if you are buying new construction, sometimes new construction, some builders, custom home builders, they will offer certain credits when you go, and it really depends on the season of the builder. Sometimes they're doing promotions, they've got different incentives going on. It all varies. I can go on and on about different types of new construction credits. Now, if you're purchasing resale, I will tell you typically what happens in a resale transaction. A seller credit is usually done in lieu of repairs. So if you find something drastically wrong with the property, or you just want something fixed that you're just not super comfortable with, and the seller doesn't feel like doing the repair, doesn't want the responsibility of having the repair done, you can negotiate to have a seller concession. Now you can also negotiate to have seller concessions just because, and to help you out with their closing costs as well. So you don't have to have a reason to request seller concessions. Now, as an agent on my end, when I'm working with a buyer, I need to know up front if you require seller concessions. If that's something that I know that you need help with, then that's something I know I need to negotiate on your behalf for. So let's say for the purposes of this transaction, we're sitting at $12,400. That is our cash to close money. Now let's say that we had $2,000 in seller concessions be awarded to us, either from a builder or either from resale. Either way, now you only need to bring $10,400 with you to the closing table. Isn't that fun? So I hope this made sense. I know I threw a lot of numbers at you, but let's go through a breakdown again real quickly. So let's say $250,000 is your purchase. And then you're going to have a 1% earnest money credit of $2,500. You're going to have an option period credit of $100. And you're going to have a seller credit of $2,000. And all of that added together is going to bring you from $15,000 cash to close to $10,400 cash to close. Okay, that's it. That is the nitty-gritty of buying a home and the financial end. There are so many things that go into figuring out where you stand as a buyer, and most of your financial questions will be answered when you speak with the lender. If you're interested in buying a home in 2021 and you want to make that goal a priority, feel free to reach out in my DMs. I also have, in my bio, I have some links to different guides that I've created. I have a first-time homebuyer link, which, or a homebuyer guide, which actually will help you go through an entire home buying process, as well as the financial aspect, and be able to take some notes, because I know y'all are looking online right now. So I hope this helps you guys out, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.